Hello. I am Lauren and I am a sound healing doula. Now, today I really want to talk about an inner child thought that has sort of come in waves in my personal life, and I know that a lot of people do have this as one on a certain level. And it does take a while to kind of shift how you look at it. So this thought is, I'm not pretty. This one does run deep with me because I have always been someone who looks in the mirror and goes through phases of like feeling really good about my appearance, and then like mental health struggles will set in, and then I will struggle to conceptualize and understand who it is I'm looking at. Like, obviously I know it's me, but sometimes my brain will convince me that I'm not looking at myself, and it can be really disconnecting to actually look at myself but not feel connected in my body to then make that connection that I am looking at myself. And with the whole thing about beauty and being a child who grew up at the start of like not having the internet and not really being connected to thinking too much about my appearance and just enjoying life for what it is, and then growing up with the internet and kind of having it change and understanding that beauty standards did change and are changing, and there have been certain trends and stuff that have been in my life, and they kind of have shaped how I have seen my body and the thoughts around what I look like, what I should look like, what I shouldn't look like, and then battling with those ideas of what does beauty look like on me. And I feel like as someone who's grown up with not really much representation in the way of beauty standards at the time that I feel like I needed it, and as I was sort of allowing those thoughts to just exist in my mind because there was a lack of representation at the time that I was struggling with working out who I was, where my place was in the world in terms of like how was I going to shape my body. Like, did I want to be a dancer? And then it was like, what type of dance do I want to do? And then I was looking at different body shapes and thinking, oh my gosh, if I do hip hop, for instance, it's more than likely going to look like this if I focus on this type. Or if I do like ballet, is it going to look like this? Or if I do contemporary, is it going to look like this? And then I went to I went through the phase of trying like a whole bunch of different hobbies, and I was still trying hobbies that I love. But I remember that while I was into being active and being sporty, my idea of knowing what was going on with my body at the time was really, really insightful, because at this point I had already made the connection that if I went to the gym, my body was going to look like this. And then because I was in that phase of being active 4 or 5 times a week, I hit a point to where I felt like my body was getting quote unquote manly, but in reality I was just building strength. Like, my body was getting muscular, but due to the narrative that was going on at that time, I feel like there was a very strong connection visually with like, oh, if you have muscles, you are doing too much and then you're not going to be desirable. And that has been something that has been difficult to shift. And as the narratives do change with beauty standards, that idea of thinking I'm not pretty has been more at the forefront of my mind at different points in my life. Now, talking about this as a whole, I'm gonna go into something that I have spoken about previously, and this is essentially about those who are actually around you at the time that you are building that identity around what beauty looks like for you. Now, if you are very young and you look in the mirror and you are trying to find the words to describe how you look, but you're not yet at the point where you know a lot of words, you look for encouragement, reinforcement, input from those around you. And as you will continue to hear me say in a number of different ways, words are spells, and words are very potent. They shape so much. So if the people you are looking to for a guide as to how to refer to yourself, if those people are using words that are not so positive about their own bodies, because on a deeper level they have their own issues that they have yet to come into and face, that is automatically going to rub off onto that small soul who is trying to build that identity for themselves. So when they look in the mirror, because of the types of words and phrases that have been used to describe certain parts of their body, that can then lead to self-esteem issues, because as they start to make sense of the world and understand that words have particular meanings, it's like, oh, okay, so I'm hearing the words like, oh, I'm getting fat, or this doesn't fit right, or I wish I was smaller. If that is the narrative that is constantly being uttered in the space that you feel is supposed to be your safe space, then obviously that is natural for you to assume that that's normal, to kind of talk about your body in that way. But along with words being spells and words being really powerful, words and phrases and sounds at their component parts, they hold a very, very powerful frequency. They hold a vibration that your body remembers, because when you go and decide that you want to talk about who you are and what you look like, those words that were uttered at a very young age, not necessarily by you, but by those who were around you, that comes up when you present yourself in front of a mirror, because you are directly looking at the reflection of you as a result of your environment, things that you have thought about, things that have been surrounded, the things that have surrounded you at a young age. Like, you are the person now as a result of all of those things. Some of those choices you have made, but there are a large number of influences that are not your fault. Like, you didn't have a choice when you were hearing and experiencing those other things. So, from that point of view, I know this sounds very overwhelming and daunting, but indulging in a self-care and self-love practice from the viewpoint of having an open heart and actually allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions you have that are connected to you being who you are, as you are. Like, you are enough however you decide to show up in front of that mirror. You are enough, but having something to where you are repairing any part of you that you feel has been built up to kind of convince you that you aren't enough, that is exactly where you need to focus your attention when you are doing the mirror work. Because once you understand where that thought has come from, who that thought has come from, and where and under what circumstances they actually where they have actually been cemented in and reinforced, reaffirmed, that is where you can start to actually decide, like, okay, do I want to hold on to this? Like, what part of this makes me feel comfortable? What part of it makes me feel uncomfortable? And if most of that situation or that thought around you not feeling like you're enough, like you're not beautiful enough, if the whole situation makes you feel really uncomfortable, allow the following steps that include self-care and self-love and exercising those boundaries as well, because that is a self-love and self-care act in itself. Allow that to be the thing that you choose to do as you work on releasing that belief and kind of getting a new way of feeling better about yourself into your reality. And it does take a while. It does feel weird. It does feel like it shouldn't be happening. And another thing with these self-love practices and coming back into a place of understanding that you are beautiful as you are, and just allowing yourself to really feel the love that you may have wished to have received as a child. Allowing that time that you've set out for yourself to be solely for you in the beginning, that is going to help you with building your confidence around other areas as well. But it does start with you deciding to look at yourself, because you are beautiful. Right. Thank you so much for sticking with me through that. That was quite difficult to get through, but I was really happy that I was able to share that with you, and I feel like there are going to be some people who can feel the energetic shift as I was talking and sharing that directly from my heart and my inner child. So thank you. I would love to see who is brave enough to say that they want to commit to a mirror work practice and a self-love practice, because I would love to check in on you. So if you feel like this is something you want to do, I would love to invite you into my Facebook group, where we will actually go through all of this, and we are going to kick it off very, very soon. So I will put all of the details in the description, but if you want to be added, please let me know so that I can help you and give you the next steps. But I would love to really build this safe space of women who are ready to redefine what beauty actually means to them, so that they can build families that are full of love, safety, celebration, and excitement, and are dissolving of all fear, sadness, and tears of exhaustion. Because I feel like 2023 has been a year. It has definitely been a year, and now it's time for things to be very, very different. So I will catch you in the next one.